27 years old. I'm a tech entrepreneur. Next slide, please. And well, I'm not here to tell you an emotional story about the next best cryptocurrency, Labrador coin or something like that. Although I'm a big investor in Web3. I recently sold my last tech company, a micromobility company, which had elements of mass involved. And for some compelling reason, I'm now moving immediately into a new company, which I'll share with you the reason of later in this presentation. Next slide, please. So today I'm going to talk about the technology revolution and the exciting opportunities that the digital era bring. Here's a photo of Katrina Lake, one of my role models. She took her company to IPO, one of the youngest self-made female billionaires there is today. And in the year 2022, you can get started online, turning an idea into business with next to no budget or experience. The opportunities that the internet brings are unparalleled. But first, let's appreciate how far we've come as a society. Next slide, please. Humans are incredible beings. I was walking in the countryside just the other day, embracing the environment, the beautiful scenery that it was. River flowing, birds singing, trees swinging in the wind. It's genuinely a peaceful moment. I really appreciated what the world brought to us. Next slide, please. Then this stark reality came to mind of how crazy it is that the Earth is 4 billion years old. The universe is 14 billion years old. And yet, just in the space of about 100 years, humans have harnessed their intelligence to create some of the most incredible technologies that have changed the way we live and experience life. I'll give you an example. Next slide, please. The selfie bottle. Next slide, please. Artificial intelligence. AI is dramatically improving the efficiency of the way we work, live. It's replacing mundane tasks with robots and autonomy. Next slide, please. Lithium-ion batteries links in very much with transport and micromobility, which I'll be addressing in a second. But of course, there was the development of electric vehicles that a lithium-ion battery brought with it, but also with the development of mobile devices, laptops. And with that, we brought mobile apps, social media. For some, you may argue that social media is not such a good technology, but for the large part, I would agree that it's good. Next slide, please. E-scooters, I am biased because my last company was an e-scooter sharing company, but love them or hate them, they have proved to be a critically important alternative for people in urban areas to substitute cars or relieve stress on public transport systems. Next slide. Blockchain. One of the most important creations of the millennium. I'm aware that a previous speaker was addressing this. A revolutionary way of storing and sharing information. Many describe it as the trustless network, not because business partners can't trust each other. It's because they don't need to. Next slide, please. These inventions highlight that as a species, humans draw satisfaction from continually finding better ways of interacting with each other, gaining knowledge and completing tasks as efficiently as possible. And in parallel, technology has helped to accelerate positive cultural shifts towards strengthening inclusivity amongst communities, helping to bring to light climate change and some really exciting solutions to mitigate its respective impacts. Next slide. However, for aspiring entrepreneurs in the audience, young, old, regardless of your background, what is key to recognize is that you don't need to invent something new for it to be a good idea, the next best thing. You can merely build on existing solutions, but do them slightly better in one way or another. Elon Musk didn't invent the electric car. He merely built something slightly better. He built a brand around a better way of manufacturing a vehicle. So the mission with my new venture, Foundy.com, an M&A marketplace, is to empower aspiring entrepreneurs to get started. And that includes making people believe they can do it. All you need is to adopt a mindset where you're willing to address the status quo and continually think about alternative ways of addressing challenges. Consider what inconveniences you have in your personal or someone else's life and work out what the existing products and services there are addressing these challenges and what you can do better to solve them. Next slide, please. Next slide again. One more slide, please. I started my first company, an app-based e-scooter and bike rental company, Zwings, with my pitiful savings. And I did so after personally experiencing the inefficiencies of urban transport. I'm aware this is a running theme of the evening. So my journey by bus took about an hour to travel just 2.5 miles to work. So it brought to light the pressing challenges that we have with congestion. London's one of the worst, unfortunately. And for those that came to the venue this evening by the Underground on this hot June afternoon, I'm sure you would agree. But ultimately, there needs to be change. So over the course of just a few months, we grew to 32 staff, and I'm deeply thankful for them, for all of their hard work. Together, we won lucrative contracts, which were renewed multiple times. During the pandemic, we had to pivot from being a hotel and corporate office transport solution provider, went to zero, moved back in with my parents, had to make everyone redundant, sharply pivoted the strategy, and then we skyrocketed in growth, and we did okay. But I learned firsthand of the complications of M&A when we took the company through an acquisition process. The stresses, the complication, and the cost of selling a company is quite severe. It's not quite a glamorous process by any means. So I started a new company called Foundy. It's an end-to-end marketplace for startup acquisitions, and we match-make great startups with acquirers, and we went out to raise a bit of money, and we received about 250% more than we originally wanted. But my point there is I didn't invent the idea of the marketplace, nor the idea of matchmaking buyers and sellers. It's been around for a while. What I did was find a gap in the market, engineered a product that customers were calling for, and listened to their feedback. Next slide, please. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that there was a compelling reason as to why I started Foundy. One of the key reasons was because I felt a moral obligation to hopefully inspire a few people to get into entrepreneurship to start with, regardless of your background, experience, or available budget. Because ultimately, I respect that there's unlimited rewards on offer getting into entrepreneurship. It's just taking the first step. It was a complex process selling my last company. I don't want others to have to experience that. If you've ever needed a lawyer or an accountant, typing that into Google and seeing reels and reels of pages of identical websites, hopefully you can empathize. But it's time for this to change. As with many industries, transport included, it's really a time now for digitalization and modernization. So to conclude, I'm confident that there are some aspiring entrepreneurs in this room, no doubt, and I'm sure each of you may well change the world, make some millions in the process. You just may not know it yet. Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's go. Well, I'm going to give you a couple of questions, right? Okay. Right, so JP, a couple of things I picked out there. Number one, that your walks by the river are much more profound the way you think about the world than mine, so very good done there. We're talking here about the future of the city. Do you live in London?
I do indeed,
Southwest.
Right.
And you, as one of our two youngest speakers, and obviously with a very interesting point of view on the world around you and how to fix things, can you give us a view of 2030, what you'd love to see change? What do you think different? What's going on inside your platform already? Where are the ideas focused, right? Is it the transport? Is it the energy mix? Excuse me. The way we eat, the way we study?
Yeah, sure. I envisage a future, particularly in a very forward-thinking city like London, where a lot of the space, road space specifically, is repurposed for cycle lanes, allowing more room for cyclists and pedestrians to roam freely. So I think a lot of the areas around London is really going to get shut down and opened up with a lot of greenery. That would be really my future, and I think it's on its way. I think we're in the right place. I think there's going to be a mass shift to more sustainable energy resources, no doubt. Everything and anything, each sector is doing its role, and I think having quotas amongst local authorities and corporates, flight shaming, etc. I think this culture is really shifting now towards a net zero Britain, specifically London, I don't think we'll be there by 2030, more like 2045 if we're lucky.
And sorry I missed it with the marketplace and the kind of angle you've taken for the people that are attracted to it. Is there a kind of sustainability thread running through a lot of those projects? Is that what they're trying to achieve? Because that's where money is to be made and solutions to be delivered?
Yeah, 100%. I think having started this new company in itself being a marketplace, there's loads of different industries that I think could be modernized with the marketplace.
Right.
Including sustainability. Zwings was an e-scooter rental space, marketplace. A lot of people's goods nowadays are rented or subscribed to as opposed to being bought outright. So marketplace model in all areas of sustainability and industries as a whole can be turned into a marketplace.
And maybe the last one as a younger representative, that bigger trend we hear about, which is it's older people that are used to material goods and assets and ownership, and younger people want experiences and are happy to swap and share and collaborate. Do you think that's holding true, and is that driving a lot of where these business models are going?
I think so, yeah, I think so. I think we're moving into a place where nobody really wants to own anything.
Right.
Cars, houses even. You could even rent holiday homes and split it between eight families. So
Yep.
yeah, I think we're moving into a space of shared ownership, recycling,
Yep.
specifically with fashion, one of the biggest polluters by all means. So
Yep.
yeah, it's really exciting to see what's to come with all these different
Excellent.
industries.
Right, so that's JP, one more round of applause, and we're going to have our 15-minute break, so you can all stand up again.